everyone. Welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition.
Wait, that's not it.
Start again.
Two Dads, Gen X edition. That's a great beginning.
Why can't we simulate a girl? We gotta make her as real as possible, Wyatt. I want her to live. I want her to breathe. Should we give her a brain?
What is this?
Oh, okay. So don't be mad.
You know I'm going to get mad if you started off with don't be mad. What is
Really? Okay. So, we just talked about finding you somebody and how to do it and stuff like that.
Sure, right.
So, I was watching Weird Science last night, and computer technology is much better. We were literally sitting in a store with the top computers at MVB Gaming, our sponsor.
So, you think I want a blonde?
Well, I did call you and ask you.
I was driving. I told you I was driving.
I even went through every race, every color.
All right, so you think we're going to make a girl?
Yes, because I'm following the exact, literally, I didn't hack the CIA or NIS or all that crap. So, got the girl, got her wired up.
Uh-huh.
She's on the Game of Life, like
Uh-huh.
the movie. I couldn't find the same outfit, so she's just wearing a bikini. Okay, I got it all programmed in here. We're going to be just like Gary and Wyatt.
All right, so are you Gary and am I Wyatt? What's the...
Well, I guess I'm... Actually, I don't remember which one was which. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
All right.
So everybody just saw the whole sequence because we had that in the intro. So they kind of know what we're talking about.
Right.
I know you don't because you didn't see it.
I've seen it before.
Okay. So we're only missing one thing.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. Don't worry.
I'm not
They're
wearing
new
a bra
bras. They're new bras. I bought them.
Those aren't Sydney's, are they?
No. I bought them. There's $3.90 or I think.
Does she know that you just bought bras?
$4.99.
Not for her.
I did ask her what her size was, so I wouldn't have to return them. But they're so cheap, I don't care. I'll just throw them away.
I'm not gonna wear it. No,
You have to. It's the only thing that's gonna work, dude.
it's not gonna work.
Yeah, fuck, I don't know. You never know.
Dude,
okay,
this is
put it
so
on.
stupid.
Put it on.
This
Put
is
it
so
on.
stupid.
I know we
All right,
look stupid,
after this, you gonna get off my back?
just like in the movie. We look stupid. They're like, "This is so stupid."
This is so dumb.
It's not quite on. It's too far back. Commit, shave it, or go. For that guy that made the comment, you can definitely see the hairs now.
Yeah.
Behind the white. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. See, this is stupid. It doesn't work. No, it's a movie. It's not real.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I didn't look this up.
I'm not that desperate.
All right, okay, ready and.
Whoa!
Oh shit! It worked. Holy moly!
Yeah.
I did
Where
not
did
think
she
that
actually
would
come from?
Work. Hi. How you doing?
Hi. Where am I?
Yeah, you're on Two Dads Gen X edition. We were trying to make
a podcast that
make James
we
a
do.
woman using the old weird science theory. It seemed to work. Damn, there's a lot of electricity in this place, James.
Yeah,
Jason.
apparently.
Hey.
So what should we call you?
You made me.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's whatever. So
What would you like to be called?
Tammy.
Tammy.
All
All
right.
right. Tammy. That's
Well,
a good name.
yeah.
I like that name. Looks good. Worked good. Man, I'm amazed this worked.
Yeah, right.
Not
So,
more
yeah,
amazed
let's,
than me.
I mean,
Right?
you're like, I was just about to take a crap.
I was about 7.5 inches tall a few minutes ago, right? So it's a real surprise for me.
The game of life works. You're just not
Apparently.
playing it right, buddy.
Apparently, yeah. I suck at it. Apparently, yeah.
Science works.
Lots of debt, couple divorces. I suck at life.
Oh yeah. We jokingly, do the whole gag bit intro with the weird science and that movie about them wanting to make a girl and because they're the geeks and then in the high school and just nobody pays attention to them and it kind of goes back to the other episodes we talked about. Lisa, the girl they make, gives them better clothes, gives them nice cars, teaches them how to talk to girls,
gets them into a bar.
And ultimately they realize, kind of like life, that you're trying to find that perfect person. You know, and we have movies like Tremors with Kevin Bacon's character pulling up on the new grad. It's like, oh, you have blonde hair, big boobs, legs that go all the way, and, you know, license to drive. He wants Mercedes, and so you have those movies, classic 80 movies, where they want that perfect person. And, you know, you got the girl version of the Hallmark movies, you know, and it's kind of funny. And really our goal to talk about this episode is after you find not that stereotypical person that, you know, we're taught as kids because of social media and the socialistic bubbles we're in, that we're programmed that you should want this. If you're white, you should have a white. You know, if you're black, you should only date black. And the old 1950s, 60s mentality, where now it's just, you know, a melting pot, and you never know who you're gonna blend with, and you never know who might be good for you if you pigeonhole yourself into these stereotypical point of views of what you should like, you know, kind of thing. And
well, and like that happened to me with both, unfortunately, both wives. First one was the attractive blonde petite, you know, all that kind of stuff, and then the second one, it was like on paper the opposite kind of thing. She's brunette, you know, still very attractive, all that kind of stuff, but I was looking for the opposite instead of looking for what was a good fit. Yeah. And you know, I've learned that I need to have a checklist, sort of. Not a checklist, but
square peg
sort
of.
You know.
I think you need to know who you are. So like a river has to know its banks to reach the ocean, right? So I think we're doing something to men right now that isn't good. It's not healthy. I think men are being torn apart. I think they're being emasculated. I think they're not being valued for who they are. Yeah. And that's making, you know, when you say you're looking for the perfect woman, I'm not sure it means what some of our audience thinks it means. Yeah, right. Because I think you hear that from a man and you think, oh, you're looking for big boobs and a sex object. But I think men are looking for someone who values them, who sees them, who allows them to be men. And dare I say, and, you know, going to get a lot of blowback on this, but lets them lead. And I think men are getting a lot of mixed messages. And that makes it very hard. I'd be scared to death to interact with a woman in the workplace right now. Well, because you're going to get a lawsuit.
In general, just across the board. I mean, I'm a nurse, and so I'm surrounded by women. And it's got to the point that I had one series, we had this new nurse's tech, and we have, I don't know if you heard the PureWick. It's basically a suction system that sits in front of the labia, and when they pee, it just sucks it up. And so it's for the patients that can't get up, can't mobile. So you're trying to decrease them being saturated and just being wet and causing wounds.
Trying to preserve their dignity.
And that too, And so I'm just sitting there with two nurses and another tech and this new tech, and we're just literally talking about how important it is to, when you walk in the room, make sure it's working, just check the line. And we each told horror stories, and I had a horror story where the patient had some dementia, and she actually pushed it inside of her, and the suction caused some skin
to pull
inner tissue breakdown, and I walk in and there's blood, and I'm like, oh crap. And you know, I go in there and I pull the sheets down, and she doesn't know, she's confused, and she called it her boyfriend, and it was like comical but kind of horrifying, and you know, and it's just, you just saw the suction tubing going inside her, and I'm like, oh my God. I go, well, I'm not going in there, you know. So I went and got another nurse, and we, you know, as we're
Did you turn off the suction?
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, first thing, turn off the suction. Yeah, I did.
Is she off the table? Did we retract the item? Like, do we need more weird science?
I don't know why. She just got a hysterectomy in 4 seconds.
To my experiment, and then you did away with the suction, thankfully, right?
My bad. Okay. Well, yeah. So obviously, the first thing I did is turn it off. And, you know, when we go, I get two nurses, because it's like, here we're dealing with private parts, you know, and that's just the mental mindset anyway. As a man, you should go get a woman anyway.
Yeah, it's CYA, right?
Yeah. And so we go in there. They're like, holy crap. Well, they're trying to pull it, and the patient's screaming in pain. So I'm like, okay, just leave it. Let's call OB. And ultimately, I had to take it to emergency surgery, and it actually just tore her inner tissue.
Ouch.
And we had somebody walking by as I'm telling the story, and I told it just like that. She went straight to the manager and said I was talking about a patient having sex with the PureWick. So I get pulled in the office.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I lose my shit. I'm like, this is bullshit. Nothing was said inappropriate. I'm so fucking tired of people just walking by, getting a glimpse of it, and then assuming shit.
Yep.
I go, when I was a manager at the Buckle, the snapshot management,
yep.
Fucking hate those managers. I instantly am like, nope, go get those other nurses. Because when I was a manager, harassment, anything, you always had everybody in the room because people are less likely to lie. The truth actually comes out and the misunderstanding comes out. And this manager wouldn't do it. And I'm like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done talking. I'm going straight to HR and filing a complaint on
Good for you.
you and whoever turned me in.
Good for you.
Because this is defamation of character. I was doing a teaching moment, and out of the 5 people that are there, you only pulled the guy with the dick.
Yep.
And I go, and I didn't say anything inappropriate. Now, the other 2 definitely said inappropriate shit. And they were making jokes and stuff, and as a guy nurse, I just kind of chuckle, but I don't respond.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it took me almost 20 years to really learn that. It's like, oh, I can't really be me at work.
Nope.
I have to be a robot. I have to live in this environment that I can be sued, but they can harass me all fucking day long, say inappropriate shit around me all day long. I get pulled into specific rooms because I have a penis. The patient's violent, rude, mean. Oh, we're going to give them to you because you're a guy. You can handle it. I'm like, okay, do I get gender pay?
Yeah.
No. And I've literally been told, you have no right to speak up because you're in an environment of all women, and you're not going to convince us that you have inequality.
So see how much.
And I'm like,
I mean,
and you can see the frustration and the anger.
And I fucking hate
take
nursing.
that into the dating environment.
Oh yeah.
And now take that into the what is your perfect woman? And I think everybody, like a human principle for everybody, is I want to be valued. I want to be seen. And if you're having to mask, if you're having to, if you don't know what the rules are, how do you play the game? So take that to dating. Now, should I open the door? Should I open the car door? Do I pick up the check? Do I comment that she looks beautiful? Like, what?
And anymore, honestly, it's like, why take the risk?
Right. So then you check out, right? We see some men do that, check out.
A lot more than
and I'm going to use a word that maybe you have to
we don't believe
take
shit.
this out. Maybe you have to edit it.
No.
But so you see a percentage of men who just check out of the whole dating scene, the whole trying to get a relationship, the whole, everything is broken down. You're not trying to get a wife, build a family. So now you're left with, I guess once in a while, I go find a woman, she finds me, we use each other as a masturbatory tool, and then that's it, and nobody's fulfilled. And then the guy is the dog who just uses women. Well, how did he get there? Yeah. And nobody wants to talk about that.
Well, and that's a great example of, and I was telling them before the show, as I saw, and actually they interviewed over 1 million Gen Zers. Okay, they did 500 of each, boy and girls, and found the values of what they wanted in life. And I was so surprised that the men, it was like in the 60s, like 63, 68%. First priority was literally family and spouse. Second was financial security, and then it just kind of broke down. I was amazed and almost appalled at the fact that the women's priority was work, money, vacations, house, and then
friends.
Then it was like friends, and it got down to like family, kids, and I think it was like a husband, or I didn't even say a husband. It just said a partner.
Right.
Didn't say a husband. Where like the guys actually said wife and kids. Yeah. Or the girls said a partner, and then family and kids was dead last at 6%.
And I think that reflects.
I was like, holy crap.
I think the pendulum. I'm a feminist. I'm going to tell you, I'm a feminist.
Modern or classic?
But I do French feminism. I like the type of feminism that values the things that women bring to the table. Intuition, nurturing. I know some people's heads are blowing up right now.
No.
I know when my children have a fever. I know by looking at my children that they're getting sick. Men don't know that. Most men, right? Most men. Maybe this guy, because he's a nurse. But,
well,
I'll
push back on that a little bit. So one of the things that happened in my first divorce when I was in court is the argument of, well, what's the name of your child's doctor? What's the name of your child's teacher? All that kind of stuff. No, I didn't. But do you know why I didn't?
Because you weren't shared that information, or?
I was working.
I was providing the insurance to pay for that.
I was the provider. I was the sole provider, so I was the one out working. I was the one doing all those things, and my wife was the one who took them to the doctor, things like that. And so it's like, it's not that I couldn't find that information or I couldn't know that information. It's just I didn't have that role during the marriage, but it was weaponized against me. You know, I got custody of my kids, and so I'm the one that took them to the doctor. I'm the one that picked them up from school, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but the idea that, like, the pushback is the idea that, you know, yes, women are much more intuitive than men are, but that men aren't intuitive, I think, is
not correct.
No.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Our focus is on other things depending on the roles that we take.
I would agree with that.
And we had an episode before we were talking about the roles in relationships and things like that. And so, you know, we have to be careful. We do it all the time in here, but to stereotype things, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, there was an experience with one of my daughters where she was very, very sick. She had a fever of like 102, 103. And she was like, I need to go to the ER, you know. And I'm like, you don't need to go to the ER. You need to take some medicine, you know. Let's see if the Tylenol and the NyQuil and all that kind of stuff helps you feel better, because you probably just have a cold, you know, head congestion and all that kind of stuff. It's like probably a bad cold that your body just needs to fight. If it's cold, there is no, you don't take a antibiotic for a virus. It doesn't do anything.
Right.
And she got upset, and the next morning she was still feeling like crap. And so my wife at the time brought her to the urgent care. It was a cold. They said decongestion, Tylenol, so she came back when they came back, and they're like, yeah, this is what they said it was, and I'm like,
yeah, that's what I fucking told
I didn't say anything. I didn't say like I told you so,
but
but
you had to pay a lot of money for that validation.
Well,
was it worth
yeah,
it?
and
I mean,
I've got good
validated,
insurance,
right?
you know, so everything was covered. But it's like because and one of the things that, and I apologize for, because it actually triggered me a little bit, but she goes, I think you're just mansplaining when I was saying all this, and I'm like, no.
Dude, my ex would do that shit.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like,
because I know something and I'm sharing knowledge doesn't mean I'm trying to put you down.
I've raised 5 kids.
Yeah,
I've
your
been
dad
did that to you,
of
but I'm not your fucking dad.
Yeah,
but maybe it's a guy trait. Men are from Venus, women are from
Well,
Mars.
it becomes-
We've reached a place in society where the messaging that goes out there is that we have to cancel each other out. And I heard from an ecclesiastical leader one time, the role of men and women is not to cancel one another out.
No.
It's to complement each other, just as
Right.
you were describing the two roles. And I have a story that echoes that. My daughter with Down syndrome, you know, we have funded Children's Mercy. I mean, there should be a wing with my name on it. You know, when people are like, how come you guys don't take vacations? I do. It's like the entire tower. And
that's my vacation.
Right? That's my vacation. But people would be horrified and really verbally attack my husband because he wasn't there for her surgeries. Now, when you have a child who has that one surgery, 2 surgeries a lifetime, the guy's going to be there. The husband's going to be there. Everybody's going to stop. Grandma and grandpa are going to be there, whatever. When you have a child who's always having procedures, at some point, that's your new normal.
Yep.
And at some point, somebody has to keep the money flowing. Somebody has to keep that insurance flowing.
Yep.
And so his role became, keep that money flowing. I will get her through surgery. And guess what? If something goes wrong, I'll let you know. And you'll be there.
You'll be there.
You know, but that was the new normal. So I guess I misspoke on that. What I mean to say is I subscribe to the type of feminism. Of course, I want women to have opportunities, and I want women to, you know, I don't want a narrow definition of what it means. You know, everybody has to look like a Barbie doll. You know, of course I want those things, but also, I like a feminism that values some of the things that women bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think lately in society, the pendulum has swung so far to where now, when you see men depicted in commercials, in TV, in movies, I want to share an example.
Okay.
They're being just, we're turning men into just jokes, and that's not what they are. Let me look through here. Okay, first, I don't want to rob somebody. So this is from.
You don't want to rob somebody?
I don't want to take credit for
Oh,
somebody's
gotcha.
thoughts.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like, I don't have money to rob, but I mean, you can try. I
got
am
a
a little bigger than
dollar.
you, but
Okay. Well, we did have a lot of electricity. I mean, we could shock people.
Yeah, we probably just raised your bill
Right,
up, Jason.
right.
I'm sorry.
So,
Get $300. My bad.
my husband would say I rob him sometimes. Just a trip to what is it, Bath and Body Works. My husband
yeah.
feels violated when my daughters
Those
and I go
candles,
there.
baby.
Yeah, right. Okay, so this is from Razzini. I hope I'm saying that right. He's got 48,000 followers. He's over in Dubai, I think, and he writes The Death of Masculinity, How Modern Society is Weakening Men. And he's an artist. He's responsible for some of the dance culture in Dubai. He's kind of a Renaissance man. But listen to what he writes. This is from, he talks about Marvel. He says, Marvel is a perfect example. In earlier movies, we had characters like Captain America. That's the classic, masculine traits, right? But in recent years, look at the last Thor. The once mighty god of thunder is reduced to self-deprecating fool. Remember what he was a joke. Then Luke Skywalker, once the hero, now is rewritten as a broken, defeated man in Star Wars, The Last Jedi.
So it makes sense that,
The message is clear. Strong, competent men no longer fit in modern storytelling. And you're seeing that where they're the joke. I want to take.
I'd actually throw that down at Disney. As soon as you see doing Catherine Kennedy, the gal before her too, like their whole goal, and they conned Lucas so well. Like they conned him so well. I mean, I saw a clip of the interview when he was interviewing different companies to buy, Star Wars, and Catherine Kennedy went in there acting like, oh, what ideas, what shows do you have? He's like, well, I have the Syndicate show where you're going to show the whole underworld, the dark side, get the Crimson Dawn going, and just really had this awesome idea. And she's like, oh my God, I love it. It's great. We'll continue it. I love the Skywalker series. I really want to do the last 3 episodes, get that really going and just really want to get that going. So they buy it and they basically, fuck you. We don't want to do any of your shit. And the only reason Rogue One got made is because it was one of the graphic guys that goes, it'd be really cool to do a story about how they got the Death Star plans. Yeah. And that was the only thing good that came out of Catherine Kennedy. Only thing. I'm sorry. Because Mandalorian's not Catherine Kennedy. She fought that thing beyond more. You had Gina Carano. They got blackballed because she liked Trump. She's conservative. Wasn't a lesbian. She's like, no, you don't need to know my pronouns, all that stuff. Yeah. And so her goal was to remove men from the fairy tales, make women 100% power of Disney, and that's why South Park goes, throw a chicken in and make her gay. And it's just like, you don't have to do that crap.
Well, and that's where, because when you said you were a feminist, I asked, is it a modern feminist or a classic feminism? Because, with classic feminism, I was raised by a very, very strong mother. Yeah. She raised 10 kids. Me too.
She was strong. Yeah. She was strong.
And she supported my dad's law career, and she she managed an office building with an infant. My mother's an incredible woman. I raised 4 very strong, independent, wonderful young women, but I raised them with more of a classic feminism kind of mindset where it's not about men are bad, women are great, all that kind of stuff. It's about we value what a woman brings to the table, what a man brings to the table, and instead of it's a competition and we're trying to shove the other
one
down.
Up, one down.
Right.
It's not
so
that.
You mentioned earlier, the tradition of a man taking a lead, right? But I think it's very, very skewed in our society the way they interpret that, where it's like a man taking the lead is not a man running everything and dominating everything. To me, what really defines a good leader, a good husband, a good father, a good whatever, is somebody who listens to everybody, values everybody. They may be the one who finally says, yep, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
But it's with the input and with the intelligence of everybody else there. And it's not like, well, this is what I want, and so this is what we're going to do. It's, all right, now that we've heard everything, let's figure out what's best for all of us. And then it's like the CEO of a company that just says, yep, that's the direction we're going to go.
There has to be a chain of command. There has to be, or you have chaos. And what you just described of getting everybody's input, I mean, literally, you just described my husband.
Well, and that's where...
and he presides in our home.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have this thing where we want to cancel out men. We don't need men. The world would be so much better. There would be no wars if it weren't for men. I mean, I've heard all the rhetoric. And, you know, but let me just take this down to a granular level. In our home, so you hear all that rhetoric all the time, but in our home, when you hear a loud noise in the middle of the night, no one's coming to mom to go check what that noise is, right?
Right.
And when, you know, something really startling, really bad happens, you know, we're all looking to that guy in our house. That's the dad. How are we going to solve this? What are we going to do? We all have input, but there's a lot of times where the buck stops with the man, and what an incredible responsibility. So we're all doing that to men. At the same time, we're telling them they're worthless, that we're telling, we want all those behaviors from them, protect us, provide for us, and be responsible. But then we're telling them, you know, that whole being assertive, being aggressive, that's a problem. So sit down over here and just shut up. So we're telling them this, we're telling them this. The sand is constantly shifting under them. And no wonder they want to create the perfect woman. And no wonder we see a lot of men enjoying gaming. Well, what does gaming have? Look at the heroes that are in gaming. They're allowed to be masculine. They're allowed to take action. They're allowed to be, you know.
So when you know, like when they were, you know, creating the perfect woman in Weird Science, you know, one of the things that I look at is not necessarily appearance. I mean, of course you want to be attracted to the person you're with.
You gotta have
but
that.
I'm looking more at the values, the character, you know, who are they as a person? You know, one of my red flags is, have they ever lived on their own, or are they still living at home with mom and dad?
Yeah.
Well,
you know, at our age now, it's like
flagged guys like that too.
Right, but it's like
anyone.
There's you know, what are the reasons? What's the holdup? What's the, you know, what is being somebody's being held back from the maturity and the growth that they need to be an adult if they're still living at home. Same thing with guys that like all they do is game in their off time. Well, they're not, if they're not participating in life too. Yeah. That can be an issue as well, you know.
Well, it is an issue for our boys. I mean, you know, everybody is crying from the rooftops. We got to take care of our girls. We got to make, you know, we've got Girls on the Run. We've got you know, just so many organizations to support the empowerment of women and girls. In the meantime, all the research shows in education, our boys are hurting. Our boys are not entering college. Our boys are not graduating. You know, there's a real, I mean, the numbers are there. The research supports it. What are we doing to our men and boys? Well, it's a big thing.
And that's so true, because I had my son kind of break down. I don't remember the main topic, but he literally was like, I almost hate being a white male.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, it's because society is trying to make you hate being a white male. And the sad thing is we are very close to being a minority in America. And if you were like, whatever, I'm like,
politically,
I go, no, we really are. I mean, that's the thing. And we just saw Charlie Kirk killed for the same thing, being Christian, family values, trying to have open conversation with liberal and conservatives to say, like, as soon as we stop talking, that's when hate and crime and violence increases, because it's all assumption, and you believe what legacy media tells you, and you believe every little freaking thing you see on TikTok and Instagram, because why would people lie? Why would people lie?
You create a bubble for yourself, and then everything has to fit into that bubble, and if it doesn't fit the bubble, there's something wrong with it. Rather than expanding your world and seeing what is actually out there, you don't validate your belief system if you don't look at other belief
Challenge it.
systems.
Yeah.
You don't validate your political views if you only look at your own political views.
Yeah.
You have
don't
to be able to
grow.
explore.
There's
Yeah, you don't
no
grow.
shared pools of knowledge anymore.
No.
There's no, well, you're diametrically opposed to me. I definitely want to talk to you. I want to know, your thoughts. I want to
Yeah.
learn from that. There's no shared pools of knowledge. And we claim we want to give everybody a seat at the table. But I would submit to you what, some factions want to do is just destroy the table.
Yep.
You're sitting at my table or it's destroyed. And really, we've lost that sense of let's get everybody at the table. And
Well, wasn't that the youth revolution in China under Mao? Like they got rid of all the professors, they got rid of all the religion, they were basically stripping their society of anything other than what they thought.
Wanted socialism, yeah.
And
And the sad thing too is you're getting these kids, and that's why I love Charlie Kirk and Shapiro and all those guys. Shapiro can be arrogant and stuff like that, but the truth is they're trying to get people to communicate, to respect each other. I have great friends that are liberal. I've always been kind of down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I've shifted a lot more because of what's happened in the last 5-6 years. But I mean, I lost one just because I would just post truth, like what was going on with Doge, and just repost stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing that was false. There was never any false information I ever posted, and then there was never putting anyone down. It was just posting facts. We were right along. This was right along. This was right. And he stopped hanging time with me, and he won't talk to me anymore because he's like, I just, your political views, I just can't be friends with you. And I'm like, wow, I really thought you were a better person than that. And like, I still think he's a great person, and I still want to be friends with him because I think he's a beautiful person and he's a great guy. And it just really saddens me and hurts me. And I've been to parties with friends where something comes up and I'm literally berated by my friends and name called, and I'm like, and I was just like literally crushed. And I'm like, God,
and the
seriously,
flip
guys?
side-
I'm over here and listening to everything, and literally I want to have open discussions. I want to. I'm like, I don't care what you believe, and I'm not gonna. My goal is not to change your mind. I know your goal is to change my mind and make me believe everything you believe. That's not my goal. I was raised to respect everyone, respect their opinions. I remember growing up in the Mormon church, they flat out said, no church is wrong. Every church has truth to it.
Yeah.
Now you have fanatics that extremize different churches
Yeah.
and do horrible things, and we've seen it in every church.
Every religion has it.
and that's just how it is. And it just sucks that it's like that. And the world is just getting so divided. And it started with the deconstruction of the man.
And I
Get
think
rid of the masculinity, especially in America, because we will defend this shit till we die, and they know it. And if you can get the youth to be more feminine and less masculine and scared, guess how it's easy to take over.
But I think the flip side of what you're saying is like you're experiencing, being berated, being attacked. There's another coping skill that people are dealing with that as they move into this culture where they can no longer share their opinions, and that is they totally mask, they totally blend, they camouflage, and that person, you're living with, do I get crushed? Do I get belittled? Do I lose my friends? And the other coping mechanism is, oh my gosh, if everybody I know is in the same room, that would be a problem because I've masked here and I've masked here and I've masked here. And
there's times
so
I
there's
go to
two,
parties and I'm like
but
that with all my friends.
I think that there
I just don't go to the parties.
I would submit to you that in the culture you see this extreme feminism of men where we have men, wearing dresses and doing all that. And we have this other extreme of this hyper masculinity. And so desperately man is trying to find those banks. If man was a river, man is trying to find those banks so they can make it to the sea because we're not defining, clearly what man is. We've lost the definition.
And honestly, I think that because of social media, we see the extremes a lot. But I think the vast majority are not the extremes. The vast majority are the people who are like, and like for me, it's like, I'm not sure how to, I'm not one of these, bro dude kind of like hyper masculine men that's, the alpha male thing, which was wrong from, it's the wrong interpretation anyway. Even the guy that coined the phrase said it was wrong. But, there's a middle ground, and the vast majority are in the middle. They're just good guys that are just trying to work hard, trying to have a family, trying to, do right by their kids, and then they just get attacked all the time.
Yeah. And it's, well,
and part of it too is, and I saw this a lot, unfortunately, in after after divorces, where to validate the hurt, you attack, right?
Yeah.
Okay, explain that to me.
So you can't be the one that was wrong. You can't be the one that made the mistake. And so you attack the other person for all the possibilities of what they did wrong so that you can feel good about yourself.
So you have to double down is what
right.
you're saying.
And so I got to the point, especially after my second divorce, where it was like, you know what? I'll be the asshole. That's fine. I found out about a couple of different rumors that were being told about me that were the furthest thing from the truth, but they paint me as an asshole. And like this, yeah. And so it's like, all right, if that's what you need to feel better, I can carry that.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. I know who I am, but it's like, it's unfortunate that after all these years of us being together and all the positive and negative experiences, it's like, that's what you're, and it was actually going out and telling other people things that were not true.
Yeah. That's,
and so it's like, I'll be the asshole.
Well, and
I think that's where a lot of men are, where it's like, all right, if you think masculinity is horrible, I guess I'm a horrible guy.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I do.
Right?
Yeah. I sense that totally from men. And I think we're losing something really important in our society, the things that men contribute as men are just saying, look, this is a rigged game, and I'm not going to participate anymore. But, we're on
the sad thing is we want to participate.
Oh,
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
The other sad thing is, to reinforce what you're saying, with like a guy stands up and does something right. Okay, you take the guy that defended the crazy dude on the train, and they arrested him and put him in prison.
Yeah.
And the only reason that guy got out was because of Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, but
he'd be rotting in jail still if it wasn't for Trump getting him out and saying, no, you kept people safe on that train. You stopped him from doing.
Even the people on the train were like grateful for him.
Let's take that one step further to the next current event. Okay, so you have the guy on the train that protects everybody, goes to jail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have the young woman. Have you heard about this story? The young woman from Ukraine.
Yeah.
So she's just sitting on a train. She doesn't do anything,
Like and then 40 seconds.
And
too.
And this guy just, slits her throat. His last thing that he says is, I killed myself a white girl or something like that.
I got that white.
I got that white girl. Yeah. And the other man on the train got up and left. A woman that witnessed it turned. Because what was the earlier messaging? The messaging was, if you do the right thing, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
So now we've effectively, silenced once again the protector male.
Well, evil thrives when good men do nothing.
Yeah, but we've taught them to do nothing because you're going to be
not taught, compelled, forced, shamed.
Well, and Charlie
very
Kirk,
important words.
Charlie
very
Kirk
important
being
words.
killed. That definitely was another message.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to open the eyes of the youth. Stop trying to get people to talk. Stop getting people to listen to each other and respect each other. Stop doing that, because if you continue it, we're going to take you out. And so that, to me, that was a political assassination. And in my mind, I'll probably get flack for this, but in my mind, Charlie Kirk, honestly, to me, was like our modern day Martin Luther King. He literally his whole goal was unity, respect, kindness, love, fatherhood, family. There was no evil part of him. I saw him get spit on, hat removed.
He got assaulted all the time. I heard a thing that he never pressed charges on anybody.
Pressed charges. He always say, I pray for you. I hope you have a good day. Like, he would always say something positive. I remember there's one where this guy came in an address and everybody's booing and yelling and just interrupting him, and Charlie Kirk stood up and said, stop.
Yeah.
This is an open platform, a safe platform for everyone.
Right.
And you have a right. And then, of course, the guy's first comment is like, you don't want me to be here. He goes, dude, I just stood up for you, and I just gave you 15 minutes to talk to me. So obviously I do, and I'm sorry if you feel like you don't. But you are here. This is your mic. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, became into the guy berating him nonstop. But it's just one of those things where they killed somebody that honestly wanted open discussion and freedom.
I kind of, if it's okay, because I'm a guest, I want to circle back to something.
Okay, go for it.
So, because I want to circle back to, so what is the perfect woman that you would create? Because I would submit to you, this is just my opinion, and, you guys know the answer as men, what you want in a woman. But I would submit that even though, we have the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, we have the Victoria's Secret models, we have all that. And,
that's different now. It's like tran. Big guys. The last
that's been
model
hijacked.
was like, 300 pounds?
Right.
And so they're trying to normalize, which is fine. Totally cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm totally fine. I mean, some of that. I don't mind having a heavier girl on a swimsuit model because
it's normal.
For me,
it's real.
It's normal.
I never, ever looked at that stuff as a sexual object. And it might be weird. I might be the weirdest guy.
Right. I mean,
you might be, because I did.
I think I'd look at it and then I'd move on. But I never
that's
like, I'm
what
going to
I
buy
think.
this.
I
Use
would
this as a spank
submit
bank.
to
Oh,
you
no,
that woman is great to look at. I think guys, fantasize. I'd like to have 10 to 30 minutes with that woman. But when we talk about perfect, we're talking about somebody that fits in your life. What is, because that's what we opened up with, the perfect woman. What is the perfect woman? Because I don't think it's what women think it is. I don't think you want the size 0 woman. I don't think you want the fake boobs. I don't think everything that we accuse you of, I don't think it's true.
Well, we had an episode on body shaming, how women body shame men.
Yeah.
And how Bradley did a study on interviewing, how much weight can your husband gain before you lose interest, and like literally slowly start losing respect for him because he gained weight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing that I think the average woman said 15 pounds. And I was just like, dude, that's a swing weight almost. 5 to 10
like
is a swing
Thanksgiving weight. Just happened 2 days ago, and I haven't.
I mean, you can have 5 pounds of shit, then eat Thanksgiving, you're up 10 pounds. I mean,
okay, I have a totally different story about that, different life experience, but I want to.
So it's kind of one of those things that, and where guys, they're like, I mean, women, it's like women could gain 100 pounds and they still would love them because they valued them. And that's the same lesson I would try to teach my daughter is the classic feminism. It's like, don't try to be a man. There's no reason for you to try to be a man. Be a woman. Bring what women bring to the table. You bring your own beautiful things to the workplace, to the home, to your friends. If you're trying to be a man and do those things like a man does, then you're robbing yourself of your femininity and who and what you bring to every aspect of your life by trying to compete with a man. You don't need to compete with a man. Just be the best woman you possibly can be. And
it gets back to that one up, one down, canceling out.
And Dawson's found his perfect girl.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I think you just got engaged. It's good. And the thing is,
was there any weird science involved, or a Barbie doll in the beginning?
I'm wondering.
Was there?
Kidnapping.
Did she have electroshock therapy? Like, what happened?
Probably needs it to be with him. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
What was the story?
No, I mean, I think, and the thing I teach my son, I had a great moment, and just because she happens to be Asian, the story has nothing to do with that, but I was at a birthday party with my friend Corey, and Corey, it's kind of like me. He's like, doesn't care. He goes, if you attract to somebody, it's mostly because of personality, bubbliness, kind of like that quick Aries, like they capture you kind of thing. And his sons and friends were like hounding Quinn, like, what do you like? What do you like? What do you like? What do you like? What kind of girls do you like? Because my daughter's there, and all of them are just goo eyes for her and her friend. And he won't say anything. He won't say anything. And then my friend that I talked about earlier, he goes, or I think Quinn mentioned, he goes, oh, I kind of like Asians. And they all started making fun of him. And like, why? Well, and this is a great teaching moment because at the time they're all like 14. And Aaron comes and is like, well, I like Asians. He goes, I like Asians, Indians, blacks. And just starts going off. And like all their eyes just opened. Like, whoa, wait, we're allowed to? And it really became this discussion. It's like, dude, attraction is so fluctuating in your life, and you'll find that the true person, like I have, I mean, she's gorgeous, But what I love about her is who she is and what she brings to the table and the kindness of her body and soul and just her, I don't want to say innocence, but like her innocence of a family value. And she's the first one that's ever seen my value, respects my value.
Yeah.
When I go out of my way, she just goes out of her way to tell me, thank you for doing that, which then makes me go out of my way and tell her thank you for what she does. And it's just that mutual love and respect that has grown. And even at work now, my whole life, I've always just made to feel bad about my career, bad about what I do, bad about who I am, how I did it, how I raised my kids. And for first time,
You're not on the defensive.
I got engaged, and I have so many people happy for me, and people going out of their way to find me. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. We had no idea you were dating. I'm like, yeah, because it's our fucking life. It's personal. You don't need to know. But I've never had that, and so it just really confirmed that she is the right person, that it is right, and just every part of it felt amazing. And her dad also passed away as on the cruise when we were getting there. And it was weird because it's like we landed, and then she went home to kind of start taking care of her dad, and I went home to get stuff, and I felt so fucking empty. It felt so empty to leave, and I've never had that feeling before. And so when you say what's your perfect person,
and see,
I always looked for qualities of the person.
Yeah.
Do they respect people? Do they respect themselves? Do they respect their family? Do they have work ethic? Do they want to combine and build something together in a unity and not you tell me everything, I'm going to tell you everything.
Everything you just said had nothing to do with cup size, nothing to do with height, nothing to do with weight, pounds on a scale. See,
And to me,
this is what I'm saying. I
10.
don't think that men are the pigs that they've been made out to be.
I mean, there are definitely pigs out there, but it's everybody
hyper
hyper-focuses on them
in the fun zone all the time.
and then just applies that to all men. You know.
And it's sad because, I mean, I want to know who's building the best sex bots because I want to buy stock in it. Because what's sad is there are men that are saying, I would rather have a robotic conversation with an AI that doesn't disrespect me, doesn't talk down to me, doesn't make me feel like shit because I worked 16 hours to pay for everything.
The newer version of Blade Runner with Ryan Gosling, where it's an AI that he comes home to.
But he's technically an AI.
Well. In the
you just ruined for anyone who didn't see it, for all the Gen Z. Sorry. Okay, but
go ahead, please.
No, you first. Go ahead.
Well, it's just it's so I've looked for that, and twice thought I found it, and then as time went on, that struggle of trying to maintain it, trying to keep it, trying to build it, trying to whatever, and you don't have a participating partner.
And you can't.
And so and not without trying.
And I wanted to look at that word perfect. I don't think that's what makes us, because as I was driving here, I was thinking, okay, perfect. What, and thinking about my husband, and what really, the things that really draw me to him are things that only I know, that only I experience. I have the funniest story about my husband. He is, when you started out the weird science, you were saying the geeks, and I wanted to interject, but it's the geeks that'll be signing your paycheck,
Right.
But, but like he's one of those guys. He's a brainy guy, and this is one of my favorite stories about him. We have a son on the spectrum. My mom, I'm pretty sure, was on the spectrum. So, we're kind of that neurodiverse family. And my favorite story about my husband is he was outside mowing and rain starts. And you know how in this part of this country we can get those torrential rains.
Yeah.
And the man is still
Just
mowing
going.
in this torrential rain, like torrential. Like there's starting to be currents in the back, those places where it always and he is still going. And because I know him, I know that he's ruminating about some equations, our very first conversation, we talked about an article we had both read on electron movement. And I said to myself, that's my guy. that's my guy. And I knew he was ruminating about that, and he wasn't in his surroundings. And I went out there and I said, honey, I think it's time to bring the mower in, And I guess, you could say, well, gosh, that guy, what an idiot, blah, blah, blah.
No.
That's one of my favorite things about him, that I never have to have a surface conversation with him because, I hate that. I have never been sick of his company. We've been together 20 years. And I still can't wait to see him and talk to him. I always want to get to that end of the night where the kids have finally left our bedroom and I can hear what he has to say about whatever topics, because he is so unbelievably interesting. And, those things aren't perfect. I would submit one more thing. My husband is a big man. He's a big man. And on our
big
first...
like tall or big like he's heavy set?
Okay, he's tall, but he is heavy. He is a big man, okay? And so I grew up with an anorexic mother, and that anorexia has always haunted me. When things go wrong in life, that's the first part of my inner landscape to come up is, stop eating. And our first date, he just made this safe space where I could eat in front of him, and he likes to eat. And I was like, I think I really like this. I think I really like being with a guy that never thinks about, and it was, for me, it was perfect. It was heaven. And
good on you for seeing those values, because I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of the women out there now, especially with the modern feminism, where they don't think about those things anymore. I mean, how many videos are there out there of women who are like, he has to make 6 figures and he has to have a 6-pack and he has to this and he has to that. I mean, I'm on these dating apps, and I was reading one of the profiles before, and it's like they focus on, I'm outdoorsy and I want to travel and I want to do brunches and all this other stuff, and it's like, okay, well, what about the daily grind? That's the stuff that matters. Trips are great, but they don't happen all the time. Going hiking or paddle boarding or whatever, that's great, but you don't do that all the time. It's the daily grind. Who's going to do the dishes? Are you going to wipe off the counters? What about laundry? Who's going to make the bed?
Who's going to be the parent that gets vomited on?
Exactly.
In the middle of the night when the kid comes up, taps you on the shoulder, scares you to death, you're having a children of the cord moment. And then all of a sudden, they're like, I'm sick. And you have a millisecond before they're like,
and you can see it.
I've definitely grabbed Quinn and turned him really quick off the wall.
I've caught my oldest daughter.
It's better than the bed.
Yeah, my oldest daughter, when she was 2, she was like, I feel really sick, and and I went, because we were in a rental, and I didn't want to, and she would drink strawberry milk, so it was red, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I caught it in my hands. I'm like,
and the smell.
Went to the sink and washed my hands, but
those, it's funny when I look back on my life with my husband. Those moments in the hospital, moments.
Yeah.
We have 2 children that are disabled. We brought up 4 children. We have not had a fairy tale life, but man, there's nobody I'd rather go
There's
through.
no such thing as a fairy tale life.
But the thing is you have.
Yeah.
This
ultimately.
is what I'm saying is perfection.
Yeah,
is that little mix of chaos and let's get into physics, the poetry of the universe, and and
it really does come down to what we talked about in another episode of, is it really the perfect person, or you're finding the perfect piece of the puzzle to finish your puzzle?
And vice versa for them.
And it's really kind of cool, because I used to just think of this individual piece and I'm applying it to my puzzle, but I started kind of thinking of it, and I really kind of we got this awesome silhouette of us heads together, and it kind of makes a heart with our chins and stuff. And I'm like, God, I'd love to take that and make it a puzzle and have her here, then actually having the puzzle piece coming together. And I'm like,
somebody's going to put that on Etsy now.
Yeah. Still my motherfucking
and you're not going to make a cent from it.
Right.
But the concept is, maybe that's what I was doing wrong, is I was looking for that puzzle piece, instead of a complementary whole puzzle that was coming together to make an actual uniform picture.
Yeah.
And the analogy behind that is just amazing. I hope I can make a lot of money making that.
I think what you said is so profound, because I think you're not going to find anybody perfect, right?
Yeah.
The last perfect person they nailed to
There
a cross,
is no-
and we're not gods.
That's true.
And that's not going to happen. But I think you do find the person whose faults perfectly align with yours. Like, I think it's very interesting that I grew up with, anorexia dominating my culture, and I'm with a guy and happy with a guy who kind of binge eats, so his flaw really lined up with my flaw. You have to look at somebody's flaws, when you're in a relationship, your eyes should be wide open. And when you get into the marriage, then maybe you close those eyes a little bit and you recognize that their flaws fit together with your flaws. And I think the second part is you have to realize that somebody's strength is also going to be their weakness.
Yeah.
So like if they're really glib and they can really produce words fast and they're also going to be, that's going to be hard in an argument, right?
Yep.
Because they're going to,
Yep.
and so you have to be able to take both sides. It's like when you buy that puppy dog, that face, the fur, it's so wonderful,
So
those big
pretty.
paws, and then you
Yeah,
meet the
shit's on
back
you.
end, right?
And they chew
you
up
gotta
everything.
Literally the
and,
back
yeah, you got to be willing to
chase down
see-
every squirrel at the park, and
Yeah, and I think that's what
It really
love
is
is when
unconditional
somebody
love.
says, I see this strength in you, but I am willing to live with the backside of that strength.
all right. So
Because
let me ask you a question, because I am single. In the society that we're in now, and the social media bombardment of expectations that we have now, where should hope come from, and what's the point? Why is it something that, because this is something that I've actually struggled with recently as I've been on some of the dating sites, where it's like I have this idea that there are wonderful women out there who
I do too.
also are kind of like most men, where it's like they are not out there putting themselves out there because they don't want to deal with all the bullshit either.
right.
How are people supposed to connect if that's the case?
Well, it's so weird that you hear women say there's no good men, they don't want to do this, it's so hard to find them. And I remember when probably in the early 2000s, there was a radio station that said, we're going to do a catchphrase. Get rid of the whole bullshit of buying a drink for a girl,
Right.
flirting with them, trying to come up with that catchy, flashy line that gets them to go
Over techno
this
music,
guy
so
is
they're not
usually
going to
right.
hear.
Yeah, you're right.
They're only going to hear a couple
Yeah.
of words.
And you have to
in your
repeat it
sentence.
9 times, and you're
Yeah.
finally like, fuck out. I like you. Do you want to talk? Kind of thing. They actually came out like, do you want a chiclet? Or do you want a piece of gum? And so you just literally walk up to a girl like, hey, do you want a piece of gum? And if they didn't like you, they'd go, no, I don't. And if they did, they'd go, yeah, sure.
But see,
but that it was just, and I thought that was like
Where-
a
Yeah.
cute little way.
it used to be that you could go up to somebody in
Yeah.
public and just say, hey, you're really attractive. I'd like to get to know you. Would you like to go to lunch or something like that? But now it's like, oh no, they'd rather be with a bear than a guy approach them, right? And so it's like, I can't.
But you're in the flip side. We're saying, why didn't guys approach us? And it's like, because you created the society where we can't.
Right. So
You made it to where we don't want to because one, your friends are going to berate us.
Uh-huh.
Wait, I want to back up. This is new information for a woman.
Or you demand that I buy you
Wait,
all a
I've
drink.
never heard this. I want
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
back this train up. I heard you say you don't want to approach them, like you can't approach them.
Yeah. They
and
say they
you
want to be approached, but then when guys approach them, and usually the ones that are approaching them are, oftentimes are douchebags, quite honestly. So it's fair that they have that
Well, 'cause
criticism,
it's
but
a number
for
game.
the good guys that are out there, the ones that are trying to actually find a good partnership and a good, we're the ones that are like, I'm not going to take that risk. I'm not going to be accused of something.
Well, my idea was
Okay, so they're looking at you like, are you the guy that's going to kill me? Do you have people in your refrigerator? Like, is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
I've heard women say that.
Okay.
Like every single guy, they're like, because there's another trend of like women who all they do is they listen to the podcast about true crime.
yeah,
And I've heard people say, well, it's because I
Well,
need to
true
know
or
what
psychotic.
the traits are so I can spot them.
Right. Like I mean, yeah, that's a whole nother, subject, is that women truly aren't free in America, because I can't go for a walk at nighttime.
Right.
When I take my dog out at 5:45 in the morning, I'm scared.
Yeah, I bought my daughter's
and a man was walking
pepper
in our
spray.
neighborhood. Here's a good example of what you said. Man walking in our neighborhood, right? He's taking, I guess, his morning walk before he has to go to work.
Yep.
I see him moving down. I literally grabbed my dog and ran by the door. Like, what is he going to do? And then as he walked by, okay, and I kept watching him. Is he going to circle back? Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Then I put my dog down and I went back out. I was terrified of him because I had been conditioned that all men, want to hurt us, kidnap us, human traffic us,
Yeah, and so
and I'm
what's the hope
thinking,
forbidden?
this
It's
poor
like,
guy.
that's the
He's
expectation
just
right off the bat.
walking, yeah. And I realized
It's like I've got to overcome that huge obstacle right from the start
There's a
before
side of
anybody
me
has.
that I'm walking head on with a girl. What do I do to help her feel safe? I cross
the street.
Yeah.
I do that too.
yeah.
And it's just kind of funny. It's like, because
But
I
then
know
you
in
never
society,
meet, just like
it's
you
gotta
said,
be
you
bad.
never meet.
And it's just like, and it's crazy because they're, my neighbor Aaron made the joke all the time. He's like, man, I gotta walk in your neighbor because there's a lot of hot chicks. I'm like, well, come walk the dog and you can see if you can meet them. But you still gotta say hi, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And-
can't get within 100 yards.
and
Yeah.
it's just kind of one of those things that I learned early on. It really is how you approach, because when you come straight on to a girl, it does do the
So I should
whole
creep up from behind.
fight or flight. Well, there
kidding.
is kind of some logic to that. It's not really creeping this thing. Like, I'm the kind of person, I could be in an environment, let's say we'll throw Sully's out there. It's it's a casual bar. There's no food. It's just games and basketball,
I don't go to bars.
darts. And it's like you can go there and just watch TV, like watch the game and stuff. Like, you can go to those environments that you don't need to drink to be there, but you might see someone. Because I've actually gone to a lot of bars and actually seen a lot of people not drinking and just hanging out. And that's where the approach is, if you come head on, it doesn't work. It's the casual conversation. You're just in a little group, everything, you hear something and you throw in a little joke.
But what does a woman think if there's a lone guy at a bar full of people with nobody else around them? It's a red flag.
No.
Yeah.
I'd say 50-50.
It's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
50-50. I mean, because
But
we got it. She said it's a red flag.
It's a red flag. If he comes in with some wingmen, then I met my husband at a dinner party, and he did the friend zone thing with me. Like, he was just friends with me. I never saw him coming. Like, but now I look back on it and I go, he was doing an internship here in Kansas City, and he would email me every day. Do you want to get together? And I'm like, okay, because it was so safe with him. It was so fun with him. It was so wonderful with him. And literally, like, it was like that scene from, Clueless, where she's sitting with the guy who's like her stepbrother or
Paul
whatever.
Rudd,
yeah. She's with the Paul Rudd
like,
guy
oh, crap, I love
after
Paul
she
Rudd.
takes off the tight binding, club outfit. She's who she really is with this guy. Yeah. And that's what was going on with me and my husband. And we did that for about 8 weeks. He never once said, oh, I like your dress, or, oh, you look nice. Nothing. Had no idea. And then he asked me to marry him. We dated 8 weeks. And, it was kind of like.
you're like, wait, you like me?
Like, it was
Okay.
it was kind of shocking. But 20 years later, it worked out.
Yeah.
Well, and that's honestly how it was with Sydney. It's like she, the other tech liked me, I think. And then she's like, hey, let's go see Dawson really quick. And we came over, we like bantered and joked and stuff. And then they kind of went away. And, my only thought was like, oh, she's really pretty, kind of thing. And I mean, I was definitely I liked her from the start, but it was like later on, she got the number from her friend and she's like, hey, I hope it's okay if I text you and everything. And it was just like came out of nowhere, and it was just kind of those things that I don't think I would have pursued, because being in a work environment, I just really think I would have came off as creepy. And
See, I think part of my problem too is that, like, meeting somebody, talking to somebody initially isn't a problem really. It's as soon as it's like finding out that they're so, like, there was this girl in Kentucky that I was talking to. I actually went and saw her, right?
Yeah.
Hit it off great. getting along great,
Vanessa.
all this kind of stuff. What's that?
You pulled a Vanessa.
Well,
gotta see if there's chemistry.
and this is what happened. So 8 hours away, and so we were talking about how we're going to do the long distance thing, and I said, we can go back and forth, meet halfway, stuff like that. And so she was planning on coming out here, and it was like a week before, and she's like, yeah, I need somebody local. And it's like, okay, so I've already come out to you. Wow. I've spent, and she was supposed to come out one time before, where I paid for the hotel for her to stay in and all that kind of stuff, and it was like, at this point, I'm the one who's driven 8 hours one way, spent total of almost $2,000 of travel and hotel.
Expenses,
and I mean, I bought Royals tickets because she loves baseball and all this other stuff. And it's like, and then a week before, 5 days before she was supposed to come out, it's like, I don't know if the distance thing is going to work. So it's like, okay. And we talked about reciprocating effort and stuff like that. And it's like, it's great. We get along great. And then there's, some thing where it's like with my second wife, she would sit around and play games on her phone or on her tablet or watch TV, and so it's like when we talked about, as we were engaged and stuff, talked about building a life and getting out of debt and creating this future, the participation in that process didn't happen.
Wasn't there?
Yeah, she's
and so that's one of the things that I'm running into is like I'm meeting people, and they're wonderful people. They're great personalities, attracted to each other, that kind of stuff. But when the rubber meets the road, there's no traction. I'm looking for the traction. I'm looking for that, a partnership, a collaboration, that kind of thing.
Well,
and
we need
I'm
to
losing
get this out here because I spend endless hours with women who want exactly what you're marketing. Like, I have sat at female brunches where, I'm not looking for a good time. I'm not looking for the
right.
I want to build something. I want to have a partnership, and here it is.
Maybe
ladies,
we
here
should
it
start a
is.
dating app.
Yeah, we've talked about that
dating.
before. Yeah,
kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think the key is be more open, be realistic, because you're telling us that there's women out there that want to be approached, which I know there is. And it's just a matter of how and when, and sometimes the environment isn't the right environment. That's what I said. It's like, we should start just going to things. Get you and Jason. It's just go to like the dog park or D&D night or Comic-Con. It's like, because when you go to things that you have common interest, because that's how it used to be done. Families introduce you. You go to a dinner party and you see someone there and you just casually talk.
Yeah, I've never met anybody in a club ever.
Well,
ever.
I'll tell you what my lifestyle is right now. I work. And then I renovate my house, and then I do this because I'm working on getting out of debt and all this other stuff. I don't go out socially very much at all. Part of it is because I don't have much faith in it, quite honestly.
And it honestly, I think it took me about 2 years to get in a place where I serial dated just because I wanted to do stuff and go out and just not be stuck at home and be bored, because it was just.
See, I don't want to go broke either.
Here's the thing.
But I was the main parent. I was the one going to all the school stuff, and then I was working the nights, and so it's like I wanted interaction with adults, and so I would just go to old Chicago and hang out and stuff like that, and by myself, and I didn't have any issue just talking to random people. But my goal at the time, like you, wasn't like, oh, fuck, I don't want to get married. I don't want any of this stuff. And I was burned by society. And, of course, you're in a city that's the number one worst dating city in America.
Really? Another
Kansas City got
moment. Okay.
rated 1, Wichita's number 2.
Wait, what? Rated 1?
Yeah, we're number 1 worst city in America to date.
Why is that? What are the parameters of this study?
It's like activities to do, social events, weather.
Yeah.
So
I used to live in Santa Barbara,
really
and every day I'm
stuff.
like, why am I here? Why am I here? Yeah,
I mean, we don't
Santa
have
Barbara.
beaches just go on a walk. And just
I had
Right.
beaches. I had mountains.
I would love the mountains. I would love the beach.
It was the mountains are what I miss. But
yeah.
Here's my question.
Okay.
That all women wonder, because you see it in the movies now, and every time I'm skeptical and I'm like, does that really work? Would you want to be approached by a woman?
Yeah.
How do you feel about a woman coming up to you and saying, hey,
I respect the risk that takes. Doesn't mean I'm going to go out with somebody. I mean, like there's another episode where I talked about how I talked about how there's at this singles conference that I went to where a woman came up to. I was sitting with some friends and she came up to me and handed me a little slip of paper, and she goes, "My friends tell me you're somebody I should get to know." I wasn't attracted to her.
I don't like that
Well,
approach.
Yeah, it was a line.
Do your friends tell you
right.
everything to do?
And she'd give me her phone number, and after she walked away, I tore it up and threw it away because I wasn't attracted to her, but I respected the fact that she did that.
Right.
I wasn't going to be rude to her.
Yeah, I've never been rude to anybody.
You know,
that
and like,
approached me,
Well, it's funny because
that's
my mom
just
told me in high school, she goes, never tell a girl no if she asks you out, because it took a lot for her to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, fuck, dude, it takes a lot for a guy to do it too.
Well, that's
yeah.
what my parents told me. My parents told me never be rude to a guy. You can turn a guy down without humiliating them or being rude, or and that was the value system.
And the thing is like, so I saw a video recently, and this kind of illustrates this too. And it's a woman who she's lesbian, on the dating side. She'd been actively a lesbian for the last like 4 or 5 years. She said she had dated men before, and she did a social experiment where she. So on the dating apps, she liked every single woman and got like 4 or 5 matches in a week.
Okay.
And so it was hundreds of women that she was liking. And she said, I wasn't picky. I just liked everybody.
Yeah.
And she'd get like 4 or 5 matches a week. And then she liked every single guy and got bombarded.
Wow.
Yeah. So would a guy respond to?
Are you saying guys are starving?
Absolutely. If
wow.
Yes
you
and
asked
no.
the question of like,
You're
would
like,
a guy
oh, shit,
like it if
she
a
likes
woman
me.
approached them?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to be pursued too.
But because the message that sends is it automatically eliminates, does she like me?
Yeah.
Is this worth my time? And so when you have a woman that starts a conversation, it's like, sweet, I actually do like her. We have a good commonality, and it's really good. And so, yes, guys would love it if women came in, and it'd be great if you get to the point where everyone just is free enough to just, I like you, you're cute, I'd love to get to know you. Do you want to go get tea sometime, or coffee or whatever?
See, that line would offend me.
Why?
That
Really?
line would so offend
Like,
me.
would you want to go to lunch or something?
No. If a guy started with, I think you're really pretty. Isn't this funny? Here's the high maintenance part of women. Okay? here's the rigged part of women, because as I'm saying this, I'm going, gosh, this is so unfair. But I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
If a guy comes up and says, you're really pretty, I would like to talk to. I'm like, well, who are you to rate me? Like that's my red flag. But what I do like
is that society teaching you that you should be offended because somebody told you you're pretty.
Yeah,
because I do feel like that's been drilled in women's head.
It has been drilled into my head.
If you're told you're pretty, the guy's a scumbag.
Or that you're being objectified.
Yeah, it makes me wonder about them. I like when a guy says something like, hey, I thought it was fun talking to you and meeting you.
That's him.
That's after the introduction. Yeah.
Oh, after
so
the
we're
introduction.
Talking about the actual
then just come up and talk to me. I like when a guy just sidles up, like he maybe, when, before I was in the church, if I'm in a situation like that, maybe there's a chair between us and he just starts, talking. Like maybe it's about the game, maybe it's about, blah, 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 a current event or whatever. Maybe he's talking to the bartender and then we're having a 3-way conversation. Then after that, it feels okay for him to say, hey, this was fun. Here's my number.
That goes back to what I was saying, is instead of coming directly at him, because a guy coming up to you and say, hey, I find you really attractive. Do you want to get tea? That's him coming right at you.
Yeah.
You're talking about what I was talking about, where you're coming up subtly to the side. You're using the environment as your wingman or wing girl to interject a conversation with somebody. I was at Yard House and I had a woman actually do that. Like, the bartender were talking about different stouts, and she goes, I've never had a stout. What kind of stouts do you like? And she was 1 bar seat away. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love a lot of stouts. And I think you're just being a dork. I'm just talking. And I was in a relationship, so I'm just talking to the girl, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she scoots over and she's like, I find you really attractive. Would you have a drink with me? And I go, oh, I'm actually in a relationship. She's like, okay. She slid off. I go, but I'll still talk to you. I go, because it's not going to go anywhere, but I like conversation. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. And then we just sat and talked and stuff like that.
See, and I could never do that. I would never say to a man, I find you really attractive. There's
well, and the
I
thing
wouldn't
is
say
like,
that.
That was after like 20 minutes.
Guts.
That was 20 minutes of us talking about different stuff. And then she made the move kind of thing. So it was kind of cool. He's like,
Yeah.
cut it off. So yeah, I mean, I think just be genuine. I mean, it goes back to everything we've always said. Be genuine, be who you are. Don't change who you are just to find somebody, because when you do that, you're not being honestly you, and you're going to not find your complementary person.
And stop buying into the stupid stereotypes of like men are worse than bears and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to try and find somebody that's genuine and good, that means you actually have to try and find somebody genuine and good, and you're not going to likely find them in the stereotypical places.
No,
right?
I you know, here's a story from my life anecdotally. You know, I was single at the same time my girlfriend was single, and she said, I'm going to do the bar scenes, I'm doing that. And I was kind of like, well, you know, with our religion, I don't know about that. And she said, that's what I got to do. There's no men anywhere else. I'm like, okay, you know, whatever.
Plenty of men there that'll take you home.
Well,
right.
And I stayed home, and this is so funny. I stayed home and I knitted. I learned how to knit. I got better at my baking. I got better, like I just developed, I got better at sewing. I got better, like I just was staying home doing that. And it was kind of like, how am I going to meet a man here in the four walls of my house?
Yeah.
But I just kind of trusted that somehow it would work. I got invited to that dinner party and met my husband. We had a great conversation and he just walked away. I don't know what that was about, but, and you know,
it's the long game.
but
Leave
anyway,
them wanting more.
Something, I don't know, but you know, so I think the traditional places maybe aren't the traditional places. And what to echo what you said, my dad gave me really good advice. One time, he was a very smart man, and he said, I was lonely one time when I was single, and he said, join like, you know, the local art museum thing, and join the local theater thing, and join the local, you know, all these cultural places where you would meet smart, intelligent men, you know. And at the same time, if you don't meet a man, you're still going to have time meeting that artist or being at that book signing or listening to that lecture. So you're going to be getting better as a person, whether you find a man or not. And it turned out to be really great advice.
Well, that just goes down to going out there to different clubs, cultures. You're improving yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's the goal, is you're improving yourself, and then you find someone that complements you in that process that has the same interests.
Right. And it gets back to what you said about living on your own. I lived on my own for a long while, and I was getting better at sewing. I was getting better at baking. I was getting better. And so then when I did meet this man and we had kids, I could sew the Halloween outfits. I could bake bread. I could make the dinners. I could, because I had done all those things.
Yeah, I already know how to do those things.
So well, and the great thing is that's, and you're a feminist. And it's like, the modern feminist is like, no, you shouldn't do any of that.
What is this term, modern feminist? I'm not familiar with that.
Extremist.
Let's define
It's
that.
extreme feminism.
Yeah, so the classic feminism of women's
rights
rights and voting and respect and all that, that's classic feminism.
Yeah,
The modern
I
feminism
subscribe
is,
to that.
Yeah, the modern feminism is you're a queen, you don't need a man, all men are bad, you know, all that kind of stuff. That's the modern feminism.
Yeah.
That's really kind of destroying our society.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
I agree.
equivalent to a guy that just wants arm candy.
Yeah.
You know, in
Pretty
my
much.
opinion. Just want someone that he has thrown on his shoulder, shut up, I'll pay for everything, just look good.
Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad we made you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining. It was awesome. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. This was fun.
Yeah, it was good. Hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Follow us on every, whatever format you like, but definitely YouTube, where you see our beautiful faces now.
Yeah. And let us know what you think of the episode and what you'd like us to talk about in the future.
And, if you don't agree with us, please put in the comments. We don't mind the hate mail. We'll just read it and laugh.
Try and keep it,
Be polite, respectful.
Express yourself, but don't
shave our heads.
Yeah.
I won't be shaving my head.
Shave it, James.
I'm not going to shave my head.
All right. Stay classy, Kansas City.